Hello, friend. Tonight, we go back to 1988. The room is quiet in that old, familiar way. A lamp near the bed is still on. Its light is soft and yellow. The carpet feels warm under my feet. Somewhere in the house, a television murmurs from another room. The little set in front of me hums to itself. A thin, bright line settles into a picture. Green field, brown path, blue water. Simple colors, simple shapes, but somehow they feel bigger than they should. The house has gone calm. No one is calling for me. The whole world has narrowed to the warm room and the bright little land waiting on the screen. I know only a little of the story. Princess Zelda has been taken. Ganon is somewhere far off, or maybe all through the land like a shadow. And the Triforce, that golden thing people speak about in a hushed way, is no longer whole. It has been broken into hidden pieces across Hyrule, so Ganon cannot claim it all. I do not understand every part of that. I only know it feels important. Zelda, Ganon, the Triforce. Then the quiet begins to change. The hum of the set grows deeper. The light from the screen starts feeling like distance. The green of the field no longer looks painted. I lean forward, and the room gently lets go of me. The carpet is gone. Now there is grass under me, short, soft grass beneath an open sky. The wind moves across it in long, quiet breaths. Bushes sit in careful little clusters. Trees stand apart from one another. The paths between the fields look worn by quiet passing. I stand still for a moment. Ahead of me is Hyrule, not crowded, not loud, an open land with room between its secrets. There are no voices nearby, only wind. Only leaves shifting. I start walking. Each step feels careful at first. The field stretches around me in simple, square shapes, but the more I look, the less simple it seems. A bush stands where it makes me wonder what lies behind it. A tree line hints at a path without giving one away. Then the land answers in smaller ways. A flicker near a bush, a rustle in the grass, a quick little movement gone before I can name it. Not threatening yet, just enough to remind me that Hyrule is awake. I keep going until I see the dark opening. It is set into the earth so plainly that I almost miss it. A small cave, no grand doorway, no warning, just shadow under rock, waiting. I hesitate. The opening is not large, but it feels important. I step inside. The sound of the wind disappears at once. The cave is still and dim. An old man is there, exactly as if he has always been there. He does not seem surprised to see me. Between us lies a sword. It is not huge, not shining. It is simple, straight, small enough that it feels meant for waiting hands. The old man speaks only once. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. That is all. No explanation, no ceremony, just the truth, plain and unforgettable. I look at the sword again. Here, those words do not sound dramatic. They sound practical. I kneel and lift the sword. It has a quiet weight to it, not heavy, certain. The moment my hand closes around it, something inside me settles. Not confidence, not yet. More like direction. The field outside is no longer only a field. The cave is no longer only a dark opening. Everything now belongs to the same mystery. Princess Zelda is still somewhere beyond my sight. Ganon is still somewhere deeper in the land. And the broken Triforce is still out there, hidden piece by hidden piece across Hyrule. But now I am standing inside that story. I leave the cave slowly. The night air greets me again. The field stretches out under the darkening sky. The grass moves in soft waves. The paths reach north and south, east and west. I hold the sword at my side and look over the first field once more. It is peaceful, not empty, not safe. Peaceful in the strange way a place can be when it is holding danger just beyond sight. Somewhere far off, I feel a deeper darkness. Ganon. Then it is gone, and the field is only the field again. Open, waiting, full of corners I have not seen, caves I have not entered, and paths that seem to lead towards secrets. Near a patch of bushes, I find something small glinting in the grass, a rupee. It catches the faint light with a hard little shine, green and strange. I pick it up and turn it once in my fingers, a quiet reward, proof that Hyrule hides things for those willing to notice. I slip it away and keep walking. The grass brushes my boots. The sword moves lightly in my hand. The first field of Hyrule opens around me like a promise, and still I go, because the night is quiet, because Zelda is waiting, because the Triforce is broken somewhere across this sleeping land, because the old man was right, it is dangerous to go alone. So I do not stand still any longer. I walk into the field softly, as if I have been here before in some half-remembered dream, and Hyrule, at last, begins to know me. The sword feels different once I begin to move with it, not heavier, just more real. The cave is behind me now. The old man is behind me too, but his warning stays close, quiet as the wind over the grass. Ahead, Hyrule opens another field. Bushes sit in rows, a few trees stand apart. The path is hardly a path at all, just a feeling that one direction makes more sense than another. I walk slowly. That seems right here. The sky is pale. The grass stirs at my boots. Nothing speaks. Nothing explains itself. Then a small blue creature hops into view. It lands, pauses, hops again at a strange angle. I stop and watch. That is the first lesson. Do not rush to meet what you do not understand. The creature comes nearer. I lift the sword. When it reaches me, I swing. Too soon. The blade cuts air. The creature slips aside. I settle myself and wait. Another hop, another pause. This time I let it come fully into place. Then I strike. A brief flash, and it is gone. Only a still patch of grass where movement had been a moment before. Something glints on the ground, a green rupee. I kneel and pick it up. Cool, hard, small enough to hide in my palm. It feels like proof. The land has rules, and those rules can be learned. I keep going. Soon another creature appears, then a red one. They move in that same uneven way, never straight for long. So I stop looking for certainty. I look for rhythm instead. Watch, wait, move at the right moment. The sword begins to make sense that way, not for wild swinging, just a clean answer given at the proper time. When the next hopping creature turns toward me, I do not hurry. I let it finish its little jump. Then the sword flashes once. Again the field goes still. This one leaves nothing behind. That teaches me something too. Hyrule does not reward every effort the same way. I move east. The land changes without really changing. More grass, more bushes, another line of trees. Near the far side of the field, I notice something lying alone in the grass. At first, it looks like a scrap of wood. Then I step closer. A shield, small, plain, wooden. I pick it up and slide my arm through the strap. At once, I feel less uncovered. Not stronger, just less open to harm. That is enough. I stand there for a moment with the sword in one hand and the shield on my arm. Nothing around me has changed, but I have. I start walking again. The answer comes quickly. Another creature appears, but this one does not hop. It drifts in a slower way, then flicks a small stone toward me. I barely see it, but I hear it, a sharp tap against the shield. So that is another rule of Hyrule. Some dangers do not wait to come close. The creature sends another pebble. This time I raise the shield properly. The stone clicks away into the grass. I step forward. It fires again. I block again. Then, in the pause after that, I move in close and let the sword answer for me. A flash. Then silence. A rupee drops where the creature had been. I pick it up slowly. The land is teaching me piece by piece how the hopping creatures break their path, how the shield quietly turns aside what would otherwise strike me. I go south for a while, then east again, not because I know the shape of Hyrule, but because I want to feel how one part joins another. Here there is a border of bushes, there a clear patch with almost nothing in it, and always the creatures, never too many, just enough to keep the land awake. Near one quiet corner, I find another rupee tucked close to the ground. Near another, I stop just to listen. Wind, leaves, my own steps, and behind all of it, something older. The feeling that Hyrule is scattered but not careless, open but not empty. Everything seems placed just far enough apart to make me wonder what lies beyond the next field. By now, I no longer grip the sword like a stranger. I would not say I know what I am doing, only that I know more than I did. A drifting one with stones makes me lift the shield before fear rises too far. A glint in the grass might mean a rupee. That is progress, even if it is small. And somewhere beyond these first fields, still quiet and far, are the larger names that first pulled me here. Princess Zelda, Ganon, the broken Triforce hidden across Hyrule in secret pieces. I do not understand all of that yet. Tonight, it is enough to learn the smaller truths. How to cross the grass without rushing. How to watch before acting. The light over the field softens. The sword rests easier in my hand. The shield feels natural on my arm. I take one more slow path through the grass, and Hyrule no longer feels like a place I have merely stepped into. It feels like a place that has begun, very quietly, to teach me how to remain in it. The fields widen after that. Hyrule unfolds in pieces. A path of grass gives way to another. A line of trees breaks, and behind it there is more open land. A cluster of bushes looks like a boundary, but when I walk past it, the land simply begins again in another shape. I keep moving. The sword hangs low in my hand. The shield rests against my arm. The light is softer than before. I pass through one field where the grass is broken by sandy earth, then another where the bushes are set apart in careful little groups. That is the feeling growing in me now. Patience. A blue hopping creature crosses my way, then another. I know them better now, not perfectly, but enough. I wait for the first one to land, and the sword answers before it can change direction. A flash, then stillness. The second one turns sharply and nearly catches me by surprise. I lift the shield, step aside, and the moment opens just enough. Another clean strike. A rupee lies in the grass after that, bright and small. I pick it up and slip it away with the others. I travel north for a while, though north is only a feeling. Each new stretch feels simple at first. Then I begin to see the differences. In one place, the trees leave narrow passages. In another, the open space makes me uneasy because there is nowhere to turn aside the little stones some creatures throw. Then the air changes. There is a faint sound beneath the wind, a softer rhythm, a repeating hush. I keep going. The grass thins, the earth pales. Then the land opens suddenly, and there it is, the coastline. For a moment, I do nothing at all. The water stretches outward in a clean sheet of blue, touching the edge of the world. Small white crests fold and vanish. The shore curves away from me in both directions. It is simple, so simple that it feels enormous. I walk closer until the sand gives under my boots. The shield catches a little pale light from the water. The sea moves in patient lines. Ahead is water, endless in the quiet way only old painted water can be. I kneel for a moment and place my hand near the edge where foam touches the shore and slips back again. Cold, real enough to make me stay there a little longer. The coastline changes Hyrule for me. Until now, the land has felt open. Now it feels shaped. There are edges here, places where one thing gives way to another. Everything inland begins to feel more mysterious. I stand and follow the curve of the water. Sometimes the sand narrows. Sometimes the blue seems to press right against the edge of the land. A drifting creature appears near the shore and sends a pebble skimming toward me. The shield catches it with a sharp little click. I move in and answer with the sword. The flash is brief. The water goes on moving as if nothing happened. I collect another rupee from the sand and keep walking. Farther along the coast, I find a place where stone rises up in rough shapes. Not a cave entrance, just rock, dark and silent. Something about the way the stone stands against the sea makes me think of deeper places I have not seen yet. Stone rooms, hidden passages, doors that lead farther in, as if Hyrule is beginning to pull me away from the edges and toward whatever it keeps at its heart. I leave the shore at last. The sound of the water fades slowly behind me. Grass returns beneath my boots, yet the coastline stays with me. Near a patch of bushes, I pause when I hear a hopping sound. A blue creature appears, then a red one. They move in their crooked, restless way. I wait and let them come one by one. The first falls quickly. The second forces me back half a step before I find the right moment. When it is done, the field is quiet again. That is what Hyrule asks for most. Attention, not hurry, not noise, just the willingness to see the small differences between one field and the next. As the light softens, I begin to feel a pull that does not come from the shore. It comes from inland, only a sense that I have stood at one edge long enough, and that somewhere beyond these calm fields there must be places made of older stone, places built to keep something hidden. Princess Zelda feels farther away there, Ganon feels nearer, and the broken Triforce, scattered in secret pieces across Hyrule, no longer seems like a story told at the beginning of the night. It feels like the shape of the land itself, hidden things, separated things, pieces waiting to be found. I turn from the coast and walk inward through the grass. The sword is steady in my hand. The shield rests easily against my arm. The sea is behind me now. Ahead, the fields continue, but they no longer feel endless in the same way. Now they feel arranged, as if Hyrule is guiding me towards somewhere darker and made of stone. The pull inland grows stronger after that. I leave the coastline behind, though I still feel it in me. The hush of the water is gone now. Grass returns beneath my boots. Bushes stand in little rows. Trees hold still in the dimming light. I move carefully, because Hyrule has taught me that careful things reveal more. A hopping creature appears from behind a bush and turns toward me. Its movement is familiar now, though never fully simple. I wait for the sideways jump. Then the sword moves once, quick and clean. A flash. Then quiet grass again. I keep going. Another field opens, then another. In one, the trees leave a narrow passage that feels almost like an invitation. In another, the bushes seem arranged too neatly to be random. The land is still open, but no longer empty. It feels watched over by old secrets. That is when I see it. At first, it looks like only another shape in the field. Then I step closer, and the shape becomes a structure. Stone, set into the earth with more intention than any cave I have seen. Not grand, not towering, but unmistakably made. The entrance is dark. Around it, the grass seems to stop just short of the stone. I stand still and look at it. This is different. The cave with the old man had felt hidden. This place does not feel hidden. It feels waiting. My eyes stay on the doorway. I know, without knowing how I know, that this is where the land changes. The open fields of Hyrule have let me wander and learn. This place feels narrower than that, closer, more deliberate. I take a few steps toward it, then stop. The stone is cool in color, almost blue-gray in the fading light. The doorway is simple, only darkness. I can feel the sword in my hand, the shield on my arm, the small weight of rupees tucked away from the fields. But standing there, none of it makes me feel large. The doorway makes me feel what I am. One small figure at the edge of something old. I wait longer than I mean to. Wind moves through the grass behind me. The field is soft and familiar. Inside that entrance, I imagine the air will be different. Still, closed, stone keeping its own silence. For a moment, I think of turning away. Not forever, only for now. I could cross one more field. I could tell myself I am not ready. But the thought of Princess Zelda returns then, quiet as memory. So does the thought of Ganon, somewhere farther on, more felt than seen. And the broken Triforce, hidden in pieces across Hyrule, no longer seems distant. It feels connected to this place, as if one of those missing pieces might be waiting behind that dark opening. I step forward. The light changes at once. Just inside the entrance, the air is cooler. My footsteps sound different, no longer softened by grass. Now they touch stone and answer back in a small, hollow way. I stop to let my eyes adjust. The first room is plain but not empty. Stone floor, stone walls, a quiet that feels held in place for years. Openings lead farther in. That is the first strange feeling. Not fear, structure. Outside, the land spread outward in every direction. Here, each wall decides something. Where I may go, where I must stop, what remains hidden until I move closer. A creature stirs near the far side of the room, then another. Not the hopping things from the fields. These move differently, closer to the ground, with a restless path that makes the room feel smaller. I lift the shield. One comes at me too quickly. I step aside, and the sword answers in a short, bright motion. The sound is sharper here. The second creature circles and nearly catches my boot before I turn and strike again. Then the room is still. My breathing sounds louder than it did outside. I had not noticed how open the fields allowed me to feel until now. Here, every movement matters more. I cross the room slowly. Near the wall, something lies on the ground. A key. Small. Metal. Quietly shining against the stone. I kneel and pick it up. It is a simple object, yet it changes the whole room at once. A key means a lock. A lock means a door that chooses who may pass. The dungeon is beginning to explain itself, not with words, but with pieces. Stone room. Path forward. Key in hand. I look toward one of the closed doors and understand only this much. Inside these walls, Hyrule follows a different kind of logic. Not the wide patience of grass and coastline. A tighter pattern, room by room, choice by choice, silence between each step. I move to the doorway leading deeper in and pause there. Behind me is the first room. Beyond me is more stone, more darkness, more of this maze I can only barely feel the shape of. My hand closes around the key. Then I go on, quietly, into the dungeon. The next room feels tighter than the first. Not smaller in every way, just less forgiving. The walls are close enough that I notice the chill in them. The floor is made of pale square stones, worn smooth by years I cannot imagine. The doorway behind me is open. The ones ahead are not. That is how the dungeon has to be learned, not by rushing, by looking. A shut door stands in the wall to my right. An open passage waits ahead. Near the far corner, something flickers into motion, then another. Creatures move across the floor in quick, uncertain lines. Outside in the grass, their movement had room to spread. Here, the room keeps all danger near. I lift the shield. One comes straight in. Another drifts from the side. I let the nearest one commit to its path. Then the sword flashes once. A brief light. Before I can settle, the second reaches me. The shield catches it. I turn. The sword answers. Then the room goes quiet again. A third creature crosses the center of the room, low and fast. I step away, only enough to see it clearly. Then I strike when its path straightens. Silence. I breathe out slowly. In these stone rooms, danger feels larger than it is because it comes from angles the fields never held. A room must be read before it can be crossed. When I am sure nothing else is moving, I go to the far side. There, against the wall, lies a key, small, metal, quietly shining on the stone. I kneel and pick it up. Its weight is slight, but it changes the room at once. A key means a door will yield somewhere. I look back at the shut door. The dungeon is beginning to teach in pieces. A room, a struggle, a key, a choice. I move to the door and fit the key into place. The change is simple. No grand sound, only the sense that stone has decided to let me pass. Beyond it is another chamber. I step through and stop again. The shape is different here, longer, less square. The walls guide the eye forward, and that makes me understand something new. The rooms are not random. Some chambers gather movement. Some send me onward. Some hold what I need before the next way opens. The creatures in this room move differently too. They stay lower. Their path is tighter, faster near the floor. My first swing passes over one of them uselessly, so the dungeon changes the answer as soon as I think I have it. I lower the sword. Wait, watch again. One brushes near my boot. I pull back in time, turn the blade down, and strike cleanly. Another comes from behind and forces the shield up against my side. A hard tap, a quick turn, then the sword again. I clear the room slowly. Nothing wasted, nothing hurried. When the last movement is gone, I remain where I am and study the walls, the doorway, the shape of the floor. That has become part of moving too, not only crossing a room, understanding it after. I leave that chamber and enter another through an open passage. This one feels almost empty at first. Then, two creatures begin moving near the edges, each one taking a path that cuts across the middle. I do not step in too quickly. Now I stand near the entrance and let the room reveal its lines. One crosses left to right. The other comes down, then back. I wait until their paths separate, then move. The first falls quickly. The second circles once and nearly slips past me, but I turn with it and end the motion before it can begin again. Quiet returns. Near the center of the floor, I find another key. I pick it up and hold it beside the first. Now the weight in my hand feels like direction. Direction. A locked door no longer means refusal. It means there is something else to learn first. These rooms are no longer only obstacles. They are parts of a structure. Sometimes the answer is caution. Sometimes timing. Sometimes a key gathered from the floor after the room has given up its danger. Outside, Hyrule spread itself wide enough that forgetting a turn did not matter much. Here, memory matters. My hand no longer grips the sword like something borrowed. The danger is real, but it is becoming readable. I listen. The dungeon continues beyond these walls. More doors, more chambers, more hidden order beneath the stone. And above all of it is the quiet reason I came. Princess Zelda, Ganon, the Triforce broken into hidden pieces across Hyrule. Those names feel different down here. Smaller in sound, larger in meaning. The fields had introduced them like distant truths. The dungeon turns them into purpose. I look at the doors behind me, the keys in my hand, the passages ahead. Room by room, the place is beginning to make sense. Not fully, but enough that I can feel myself learning it. Enough that I can move deeper, careful and awake, ready for whatever the next stone chamber decides to reveal. The deeper rooms feel less separate now. They are beginning to join. At first, the dungeon had seemed made only of stone and surprise. A chamber, a doorway, a key, another chamber. Now something quieter is forming beneath that. Pattern. I pass through a narrow opening into a room where the air feels cooler than before. The floor stretches farther across than I expected. For a moment, nothing moves. Then a creature stirs near the upper wall. Another slips along the far side, low and quick, its path bending in short turns. I stop at the entrance and let my eyes follow them. A room should be seen before it is crossed. I keep the shield near my chest. The sword rests low in my hand. One creature cuts toward the center. The other keeps near the wall. I wait for the nearer one to commit itself. Then I move, just enough, and the sword flashes once. A brief light, a sharp sound against stone. Then one path is gone. The second turns faster than I thought it would. I lift the shield in time, feel the impact against the wood, and step inward. The sword answers again. Quiet returns. I cross the room slowly. Near the center lies something larger than a rupee, flatter than a key. Then I kneel and lift it. A map, thin, simple, marked in a way that feels plain and precious. Until now, the dungeon has lived only in my footsteps and memory. Now I can feel its shape beginning to gather outside of me. Not every detail, not every turn, but enough. Enough to understand that these rooms belong to one another. enough to know that I am moving through a design. The comfort it brings is quiet but immediate. Stone still surrounds me. Danger still waits beyond the next doorway. Yet something has changed. The dungeon is no longer only what stands in front of me. It has a body now, a structure, a shape I can carry in my mind. I tuck the map away and move on. The next passage leads into a narrower room. A closed door waits on one side. An open way leads forward. Two creatures drift in slow curves near the middle. I think of them as part of the room. Their motion changes where I can stand. Their timing changes when I can move. So I wait. One comes close enough that the shield catches its strike. I turn with the force, step inward, and end the motion with the sword before the second can reach me. Then I shift left and strike cleanly. Silence again. The room gives me a key. A key means a door. A door means a withheld path. A map means the withheld path is part of something larger. I open the locked door and step through. The chamber beyond is darker. Not truly dark, just heavier somehow. Near the far wall, resting alone, I see another object. I go to it first. A compass, small enough to fit in one hand, certain enough to change everything. When I lift it, the feeling is sharper than it was with the map. The map showed me that the dungeon has shape. The compass tells me that shape has a heart. Somewhere within these stone rooms, there is a place more important than the rest, a destination hidden inside the structure. I stand still. For the first time since entering, deeper purpose settles over everything. The doors are no longer only doors. The passages are no longer only choices. All of it lies between me and something waiting farther in. That understanding steadies me. Even fear changes when direction grows stronger. I move back through the doorway and pause in the passage, holding the sense of the dungeon carefully inside me. Map, compass, key, door. Room by room, the stone maze is beginning to speak in a language I can follow. Some rooms hold danger, some hold the means to continue, some hold knowledge. I cross another chamber after that, this one broken by movement near the edges. The creatures here force me to keep turning, shield up, sword ready, but I do not feel lost. There is a center somewhere ahead. It gathers all the smaller actions into one line of purpose. Princess Zelda returns to my mind then, quietly as ever. Not as a distant story from the beginning of the night, but as the reason this hidden order matters. And behind her name, darker and heavier, is Ganon. Beyond even him is the broken Triforce, scattered across Hyrule in secret pieces, each one waiting inside places like this. The dungeon has not become easy. The stone still chills the air. The creatures still demand attention. The doors still decide when I may pass. But now I understand more. I understand that the rooms are connected, that the map lets me feel the body of the maze, that the compass points me toward its purpose. So when I step toward the next doorway, I do not feel like someone merely enduring these chambers. I feel like someone following the dungeon inward, able to sense where its heart may be. The dungeon feels heavier now, not because the stone has changed, because I have gone far enough inside to feel that something waits ahead. The map rests folded with the small things I have gathered. The compass remains the clearest thought in my mind. It does not speak. It does not shine. Still, it gives every doorway a different meaning. I move into another chamber slowly. The room is wide, but it does not feel open. Pale stone stretches beneath my boots. The walls seem thicker here. Even the silence feels more settled, as if this part of the dungeon has not been disturbed in a very long time. A creature crosses near the far side, then another. Their movements are quicker than the ones in the earlier rooms. Not wild, not careless, just harder to answer if I let myself drift. So I do not drift. I stand near the entrance and watch. One turns along the wall, the other cuts inward, then doubles back. The room shows its pattern in fragments, a path through danger, a pause that is safe, a corner that is not. I lift the shield and move at the proper moment. The first strike is clean, a brief flash. The second creature reaches me almost at once, fast enough to make the shield jolt against my arm. I turn with it, feel the narrowness of the room close around the motion, and answer with the sword before the chance is gone. Then stillness again, but the stillness is not the same as before. It seems to listen. I cross the room and enter another through a narrow opening. This chamber is smaller. A closed door waits on the far wall. Two creatures move across the middle in restless lines. I already know what the room wants. Patience first. I stay near the entrance and let their paths reveal themselves. One circles wider than the other. One turns sharply whenever it nears the wall. I wait until they separate, then step forward. The first falls in one strike. The second nearly slips behind me, but the shield catches the edge of its motion long enough for the sword to come around. Quiet. A key lies on the stone after that. I pick it up and stand there a moment longer than I need to. The key matters, of course. It opens what is shut. Yet what presses on me now is not the object in my hand. It is the feeling beyond the door. The compass has made me aware of a center somewhere ahead. Every locked passage feels closer to it than the last. I open the door. The room beyond is darker in mood, if not in light. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, only a thickness in the air, like breath being held. The creatures here are stronger. I know that at once. Their movement is firmer, their approach less hesitant. When the first one reaches me, the shield takes the force, but not lightly. The impact travels up my arm. I step back, reset, wait. This room cannot be crossed on half attention. The next approach comes from the side. I turn just in time, strike, and clear a small space for myself. The remaining creature moves through it almost immediately, as if the room itself is trying to close again. The sword flashes, the shield lifts. My steps stay short, nothing wide, nothing wasted. When the room is finally quiet, my breathing sounds louder than the creatures ever did. That is another change now. The deeper chambers do not ask for fear, they ask for steadiness. I move on. The passages between rooms feel longer, though perhaps they are not. Stone doorways frame one chamber after another. Each one seems to hold the same quiet pressure. Ahead, ahead, ahead. I pass through a room with little in it but silence and old floor stones. Even that feels deliberate. A pause before something nearer to the center. Princess Zelda comes back to me then, softly. Not like a story being retold, more like a reason carried through the body. Somewhere above, beyond all this stone, Hyrule still lies open with its grass, bushes, and distant coast. But here, in these deeper rooms, the purpose of moving forward has become very clear. Zelda waits somewhere in the world beyond. Ganon waits somewhere beyond that, darker and larger than the rooms around me. And the broken Triforce, hidden in pieces across the land, feels close enough now to almost touch. Not this piece yet, but near. I know it. The compass has turned that knowing into certainty. Another doorway stands ahead. I stop before crossing it. The air on the other side feels denser. The silence is deeper, not empty, gathered. I do not see what waits beyond, not yet. Still, the whole dungeon seems to narrow toward that unseen place. I adjust my grip on the sword, set the shield more firmly on my arm. Listen once to the quiet around me. Then I step forward, calm and awake, toward whatever this deeper stone has been leading me to. I stand at the doorway for a long moment before entering. The room beyond is larger than the others, not vast like the fields of Hyrule, not open like the coastline, but large enough that the stone seems to hold its breath differently here. The floor stretches out in pale blocks. The walls stand farther back. The silence is heavier. This is the center the compass had been quietly leading me toward. I know that before anything moves. My hand settles on the sword. The shield rests close against my arm. I take one step in, then another. The chamber answers. A presence stirs ahead, low at first, then rising into the room as if it had always belonged to the stone more than I do. The creature is not like the others. It does not dart across the floor. It does not drift or hop in small, uncertain motions. It commands the room. Its body fills the space with a different kind of danger, heavier and more certain. For a moment I do nothing. Not from confusion, from recognition. This is what the deeper rooms were leading toward. The first movement comes quickly. I lift the shield on instinct. Something strikes against it with a force that jolts through my arm. I step back. The sound echoes once against the walls and fades. I circle carefully. There is no wildness in me now, no rushing, only attention sharpened by everything the dungeon has taught. Watch the path. Wait for the opening. Move only when the moment is real. The creature shifts again. I answer with the sword. The strike lands, but the chamber does not release its tension. Not yet. I keep moving in a slow arc, feeling the stone under my boots. Again the creature comes. Again the shield answers first, then the sword. A bright flash against the heavier quiet. I breathe in, out. The room has narrowed, though its walls have not changed. That is what a true confrontation does. It gathers every thought into one place. There is only the shield, the sword, the movement ahead of me, the small, clear space in which I must remain steady, only staying with the rhythm long enough. Another opening comes. I step in and strike cleanly. The chamber holds still for one suspended second. Then the creature is gone. The silence afterward feels strange, not empty, released. I remain where I am, sword lowered, breathing carefully as if the room itself might need a moment to understand what has changed. Then I see it. Near the center of the chamber, where the stillness has gathered, something shines. Not like a rupee, not like a key, not like anything meant only to help me move forward. This is brighter, softer too, a piece of the Triforce. For a moment I can only look at it. All through the fields and stone rooms, the thought of the broken Triforce had been distant and half understood, like a story carried from the beginning of the night. Now one piece lies before me, real and quiet on the floor of the dungeon. I kneel beside it, golden, simple, perfect in its shape. When I lift it, it feels lighter than I expected, yet far more important than its weight can explain. Instead, something settles inside me. Purpose. This is why the dungeon existed. This is why the keys mattered. Why the doors held shut until I was ready. Why the map and compass led me inward. Not only to survive these rooms, to recover this. I hold the piece carefully. Princess Zelda comes back to me then, clearer than before. Not only as a name spoken at the start of the night, not only as a mystery at the far edge of Hyrule. Now she feels connected to my own steps, to the stone beneath me, to the quiet work of moving deeper and finding what had been hidden. And Ganon feels clearer too, not seen, but felt. A darkness behind the scattering of these pieces, the reason they had to be broken apart and hidden across the land. For the first time, I understand my place in that story in more than a half-dreaming way. Small still, alone still, yet truly within it. I rise slowly with the Triforce piece in my hands. The room no longer presses on me the same way. Its danger has passed into memory almost at once, leaving only the sense that something important has been restored. One piece. Only one. Hyrule is still wide. The fields still stretch beyond these walls. More hidden places still wait under stone. Princess Zelda is still beyond my reach. Ganon is still somewhere ahead in the darkness of the larger journey. But now the path is no longer only a mystery. It has become a promise. A piece was lost. A piece was found. I look once around the chamber, letting the quiet return in its gentler form. Then I turn toward the doorway, carrying the first golden piece with me, and feel the whole land of Hyrule waiting beyond the dungeon in a new and deeper way. When I leave the dungeon, the light feels different, wider. Stone gives way to grass again. The air opens. The wind returns across the field. For a few moments, I only stand there with the first Triforce piece held close, letting Hyrule gather around me once more. The sky stretches above in soft color. Bushes rest in quiet rows. Trees stand apart like familiar markers. Everything looks as it did before, yet nothing feels the same. I had entered the stone rooms listening for meaning. I return carrying proof of it. The fields no longer seem like scattered places joined only by chance. Now they feel connected to the hidden spaces beneath them. I begin walking. The grass moves around my boots. My sword hangs low in my hand. The shield rests easily on my arm. I do not hurry. That has become part of Hyrule now. Not slowness from uncertainty, slowness from attention. A blue hopping creature appears near a stand of bushes. Its strange path would have unsettled me earlier. Now I wait for the turn, step forward, and answer with one clean strike. A brief flash, the field settles again. I keep going north, or what feels like north, then east. The land opens into another stretch of grass, and there, half hidden near a tree, I find a rupee. Small, green, quietly shining. I pick it up and smile without meaning to. The rupees no longer feel like lucky surprises in an unfamiliar place. They feel like signs from a world that is beginning to know me. Farther on, I come to the edge of water again. Not the long coastline I had followed before, just a bright border of blue curving along the land. Still, the sight of it makes Hyrule feel broader. Water here, grass there, stone hidden below, caves somewhere ahead. The world is no longer a first impression. It is becoming a place. I follow the edge for a while. A drifting creature sends a small stone toward me. The shield catches it with a quick tap. I step in and strike before the next one comes. Then I move on. Not interruptions. Near a patch of bushes, I pause because something in the arrangement looks deliberate. I circle once and find a narrow opening beyond them, a place I might have passed without noticing earlier. Nothing grand waits there, only another piece of Hyrule held quietly aside from the rest. A few rupees lie scattered in the grass. The emptiness itself feels like a secret. I gather the rupees one by one and stand in the stillness for a moment. This is what the first dungeon has changed most. I no longer look only for danger. I look for hidden intention. A break in the bushes, a patch of shore, a dark cave mouth in the hillside, a field that seems ordinary until it gives something back. The Triforce piece rests with me, light and certain. Its presence changes every step. Princess Zelda feels nearer because of it. Not close in distance, closer in purpose. And Ganon feels more real as well. Still unseen, still somewhere beyond the fields and stone chambers I know, but no longer only a name from the beginning of the night. Whoever broke the Triforce and scattered its pieces across Hyrule left signs everywhere. I can feel that now. The land does not simply stretch outward. It hides, it waits, it remembers. I cross another field where the grass is broken by sand. Then I move inland again, drawn not by confusion, but by curiosity that has grown steadier. A cave opening appears in the side of a rocky rise. I stop before it, studying the dark entrance. This one feels different from the first cave where I found the sword. Different from the dungeon, too. Not a beginning, not a trial, just another secret kept in the open. I step inside only a little way. The air turns cool. The dark folds close around the entrance. Nothing harmful meets me. It is enough just to know that such places are here, waiting between the wider paths. When I return to the field, the sky seems softer, the shadows longer. Hyrule has widened, not because it changed while I was beneath the stone, because I have. The first fields taught me how creatures move. The dungeon taught me how rooms connect, how doors hold back their meaning, how a map and compass can turn confusion into direction. Now the land itself feels deeper. I walk on, passing trees, bushes, bits of water, quiet corners with rupees tucked into them like green thoughts. The journey ahead is no longer a blur. There will be more dungeons, more hidden pieces, more of Hyrule opening one careful secret at a time. I know that now. The first Triforce piece is only a beginning, yet it is enough to make the whole overworld feel changed beneath my feet. And so I keep moving through the evening fields, more awake to the hidden shape of Hyrule than I was before, ready to notice what the land reveals next. The evening fields seem wider than they did when I first arrived, not because they have changed, because now I can feel more inside them. Grass moves in soft waves, bushes rest in quiet rows, trees stand apart with space between their shadows. The open land and the hidden stone rooms feel joined now. I walk slowly through that feeling. The first Triforce piece rests with me, light in weight, heavy in meaning. Ahead, the field opens toward more Hyrule. A little water shines at the edge of the land. Beyond it, sand. Beyond that, more grass and trees. Hyrule no longer feels merely large. It feels arranged. A blue hopping creature appears near a bush. Its path is crooked, familiar now. I wait through one turn, then strike at the proper moment. A brief flash. The grass settles. A red one follows soon after. The shield catches its approach just long enough for the sword to answer. Then stillness again. A patch of coastline returns to my left. The water breathes in its old, patient rhythm. I stop and look at it for a moment. The shore taught me that the land had edges. Edges do not make Hyrule smaller. They make its inward places feel deeper. Somewhere beyond these quiet fields are more hidden pieces of the broken Triforce beneath the earth. I turn from the water and go inland again. The sky has grown softer, not dark yet, only dimmer and gentler. Between two stands of trees, I notice a narrow opening, just enough space to invite curiosity. I step through and find a small hidden clearing. A few rupees lie in the grass. I gather the rupees one by one. Hyrule gives small things without making them feel small. A cave mouth, a patch of water, a key on stone, a golden piece recovered from darkness. I leave the clearing and continue east. Princess Zelda returns to my mind then, more clearly than at the beginning. At first, her name had hovered over everything like part of an old, half-understood story. Now she feels steadier than that. Still distant, still waiting somewhere beyond my sight, but real in the way purpose becomes real after a first success. One piece of the Triforce is no longer missing. That means the rest can be found. Ganon rises in my thoughts after her, darker and harder to hold. I do not picture him clearly. I only feel his presence in what has been broken and hidden. That thought steadies me, because the larger journey is not faced all at once. It is crossed one field at a time, one doorway, one room, one key, one small act of attention repeated until the way forward appears. A drifting creature sends a stone toward me from the edge of the field. The shield catches it with a light tap. I step forward, end the motion with the sword, and keep walking. Ahead, the land opens one more time into a broad, quiet field. Bushes form scattered lines. Trees mark the distance. The sky hangs pale above everything. I stop there and look out across Hyrule. It feels wider and deeper now than it did when I first opened my eyes in the grass. There are fields I have not crossed, caves I have not entered, more dungeons beneath the earth, more hidden pieces waiting in stone chambers, more of Zelda's silence calling from somewhere farther on. And behind all of it, Ganon felt like a shadow across the whole land. I rest my hand lightly on the sword. The shield is easy on my arm. The first Triforce piece stays close. I am still alone, but I no longer feel as though I have simply fallen into Hyrule. I feel called. The wind moves through the grass. The evening settles deeper, so I begin walking again, one step, then another. The grass hushes at my boots. The sky softens. The pale field blurs gently at the edges, but the softness changes. The wind thins into a low, steady hum. The pale sky narrows into a square of light. The smell of grass fades, and in its place comes the warm, still air of a quiet room. I stop, or perhaps I wake. The sword is gone. So is the shield. So are the bushes, the coastline, the hidden clearings, and the old stone chambers beneath the earth. I am back in 1988. The room is dim. The television glows softly in front of me. Its light reaches across the carpet. The house is quiet in that late, familiar way, and the controller is still in my hand. I sit there for a long moment without moving. My thumb rests against the buttons. The screen still hums with Hyrule's colors, small and bright and impossibly far away. It would be easy to say it was only a dream. Easy, but not quite true, because the feeling has not left me. The grass still seems near. Princess Zelda still feels somewhere ahead of me. And Ganon, though unseen, still hangs over the kingdom like a distant shadow. I look at the screen. The room is here. The night is here. The controller is here in my hand. And yet, somewhere beyond sleep, Hyrule is still waiting.